Hello, Sipsters. Welcome back to another episode of the Sippin' on Stories podcast. I'm Mandy Corey, your host, and I'm so delighted that you're here today. If you listened to last week's episode with Carrie, she told us her experience with finding out that she had colon cancer. And thankfully, she's still here to tell us that story. But I had also mentioned that I was originally planning to combine it with another story that I had heard from Shantyl, who told us about finding out she had thyroid cancer. But I really felt that they deserved their very own episodes to talk about it. And so that is what I did. So here is another episode dealing with someone finding out they had cancer, which makes me really sad that I have multiple people telling us a story like that. But at the same time, I know there are so many more people out there that really could come on and talk about it. So I really enjoyed talking with Shantyl a little behind the scenes. We had actually recorded the episode. It was so good. It was, first time telling the story to me, first time me hearing the story, all the things. And we finished the episode, and unfortunately, there were some technical difficulties and it did not save. And I felt so bad. I was like, Shantyl, it didn't save. I don't know what you want to do. Do you want to record it again? And she was like, yes, I will record again. That is no problem. And so we got together another day. Well, we talked another day, and she graciously retold the story. But once again, I thought it was a good conversation. There have been a couple episodes that I've had to re-record, either parts of it or all of it. One of them was one I did by myself. So thankfully that was okay because, I didn't make anybody re-record. I just had to redo it myself. But I was a little bit worried that maybe it wouldn't feel as, authentic, and it might seem like, oh, we're just re-asking the same questions, but I already know the answer. But no, the conversation was still very authentic. I asked things that I hadn't asked the first time. And so once again, it was great. And I'm just really thankful that she did it with me. So here is Shantyl to tell us about the time that she found out she had thyroid cancer, which isn't talked about very often, or really, I really didn't know much about thyroid cancer. I haven't talked to anybody else that's had it, and so I appreciate her sharing that with us. She found out she had it like right after she had a baby, which I cannot even imagine. I'm already like stressed out, anxious, tired, all the things when you have a newborn. So to add this on top would just be so hard. Anyway, I've been talking long enough. Here's Shantyl to tell us her story. We have Shantyl on the podcast today. This is her round 2 because we've already actually recorded this, but technical difficulties, we're recording it again. So thank you, Shantyl, for coming on again with me. And I'm going to re-ask you this question of what your favorite drink is.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mandy. My favorite drink is green tea with honey. And I just basically it was an acquired taste after a while. I just did a lot of research on my cancer journey, and green tea is just really good for fighting free radicals in the body. So I drink a green tea every day with honey.
Is there like a specific kind of green tea that is better than others?
They say matcha green tea, I think because it has more of like I'm gonna like say the wrong words, but I
That's
think it
okay.
has like more of the herbs and all that stuff like that is better for you. But I just go to Costco because Costco's where we go, and I get the organic green tea
Okay. Yeah, I was curious.
because I don't want like a bunch of chemicals and stuff in it too, you know?
Okay. Well, Shantyl's going to tell us her story of finding out that she had thyroid cancer.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be okay. Like retelling it again, it feels a little bit weird, but I'll
I know I'm
just
like,
act like
I
you don't
could
know
re-ask
it.
the same questions, but I'm at the same time like, I'm sure it will flow just fine and
Yeah.
things. So yeah.
Hopefully. Okay, so I, if I look back, like all the signs, like the first signs were really subtle, like the kind of signs that you could explain away. So, um, like prior to this whole diagnosis process for a while, probably for like 2 years prior, maybe one, I was having a lot of like throat clearing with it, which I saw my primary care provider for. And she said it was just allergies. And so I was doing like nasal spray, but the throat clearing never really went away. Um, and then I'd occasionally get like neck swelling, or like when I got sick, my neck would hurt. And I would ask my husband, like, gosh, does my neck look big? And they're like, it's probably just lymph nodes. I'm like, yeah, it's probably, nurse me. I'm like, yeah, it's just lymph nodes. And so those symptoms would kind of come and go for a while.
Did you
So
notice when you first started the throat clearing, was it like, wow, I've done that a lot today? Or did it take like multiple days of you clearing your throat to be like, okay, this is weird? Or did someone else point it out?
no, it was a lot, to the point that it would annoy me.
Okay.
So like my husband would get annoyed. My best friend that doesn't even live here, we would like talk on the phone, and it like annoyed her, I think. She never told me that,
But you could tell.
but like later down the road, she was like, yeah, you throat clear all the time.
Uh huh.
So yeah, it would be like this, like like that. But it
Mm-hmm.
felt like I couldn't stop. Like the reflex of it was like, it wasn't just to clear, like, when you're sick and you have like snot and stuff. It wasn't
Yeah.
like that. It was this constant need to clear my throat, constant, every couple minutes. So that annoyed me as well. Here, I'm going to do it because I have been sick.
Oh.
But brushed it off anyway. Allergies, reflux, like everyone was like, kind of, it's just normal things, right? So it continues. And then one moment that like sticks with me, like when I was pregnant with Charles, I was like walking up the stairs with Arthur. He was 2.5 at the time, and just how 2.5 years old, 2.5-year-olds are. They're crazy. And he like flung his arms, and it like whacked me in the neck here. And I just remember this deep, like nervy pain. And I was like, that hurt more than it should. Like it was so painful. But then it went away, and I moved on, and nothing else was like weird. Aside from my second pregnancy was nothing like my first. My second
Mm-hmm.
pregnancy was literally horrible. I puked multiple times every single day. I just did not feel okay ever. And then I would tell my OB-GYN, and he's kind of brushed it off, that it was like, oh, your second pregnancy, like all these things. But I used to be a labor and delivery and postpartum nurse, and looking back, I'm like, I think I should have advocated for myself more and like gone in more at that point. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, enough said on that. So um, I got through the throat clearing. That seems like it got like worse with pregnancy too.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I really started to feel like, okay, it's not just allergies, or it's not just GERD, it was postpartum. So I had prolonged like postpartum bleeding. It was like 10 weeks of bleeding postpartum. And if any of you guys have had kids, you know that like it's heavy initially, and then it slows down. And just, I mean, even with my first, like I was hardly bleeding by the time I went home, like
Mm-hmm.
4 weeks,
Yeah, normally it's like, well, I feel like
yeah,
with mine it was like a week,
yeah,
maybe into the second week, you'd still have a little bit, but yeah.
yeah. So like 10 weeks, and I'm still having like profuse amount of bleeding. And my OB-GYN's like, what was your second baby? Like they were kind of brushing it off, brushing it off. But then by 11 weeks, they were like, all right, like you need to get a pelvic ultrasound. Like, let's
Mm-hmm.
make sure there's no retained placenta in there. Let's make sure nothing's going on, you know, just
Which still is
with
surprising to me
everything.
that it took till 11 weeks because I don't think I've known anybody that has bled that long. Like it
Hmm.
seems not common.
And like that's how I felt too, because like I said, I used to be a labor delivery postpartum nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was messaging probably from like 8 weeks on,
Yeah.
because I knew like sometimes people could bleed into the 8 weeks. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a little more time.
Mm-hmm.
But like I had this gut feeling that something was being missed at that point. So after I went and got my ultrasound, I was like, something's being missed. I ended up changing OB-GYNs
Because
because
your
I thought,
ultrasound looked fine.
yeah, my ultrasound looked
Mm-hmm.
fine. And I was like, then I like wasn't even focused on this. I'm just focused on the bleeding. But also in retrospect, your thyroid regulates a lot of that as well. So, but I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I have like cervical cancer or something. Like
Yeah.
or ovarian cancer, right? I'm thinking of other types of cancers at that point. I just had like a gut feeling. So I changed OBs, and that OB-GYN was a female, and I had worked with her when I worked L&D as well. And she was like, "Why'd you change to me? Like, what's going on?" And I was like, "It's not that I didn't love my old OB. I just feel like we're missing something, and I like need more perspective, right?"
Mhm.
So she did like a full lab panel, and all those labs came back normal. Although I don't think that she did a thyroid, which with thyroid cancer, it doesn't always show up anyway. Like they can do thyroid antibodies, and those can show up positive, and then you would like start looking for cancer. But thyroid antibodies can show up with a lot of people. I think it's like 50% of the time people will
Mhm.
be positive for thyroid antibodies and there's nothing actually wrong with them. But like they could have done more, but like they're just my OB-GYN, right?
Yeah.
So I like shrug it off. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I finally stopped bleeding. We're all good now. And then fast forward like months later, like new symptoms started showing up. So I was getting night sweats, which, yes, postpartum, that's normal, but not beyond like, I mean, we're talking, I'm like 6 to 10 months out now, and I'm starting to get night sweats and
Like drenching your clothes in the bed.
drenching
Mhm.
my clothes. And like, if you read up on thyroid cancer, I don't think that that's that much of a sign, but maybe it is.
Still
I
is
know it's
odd.
a sign of, I know it's a sign of other cancers. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I think the body gives you signs and you have to listen, right? So I'm like drenching through. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Um, and then I start waking up with neck pain in the middle of the night, and I'm waking Craig up, and I'm like, babe, like I'm in so much pain, I can't even sleep. And he's like, well, maybe like you need to go to the doctor or whatever. So I start kind of like self assessing, like maybe it's my tonsil. So I'm like
Mm.
looking in my
Yeah.
throat and there's a mass on my tonsil. So I'm like, oh my God, I have tonsil cancer. Like, I mean, I was to the point of like not being a hypochondriac because honestly, you just don't, I never thought worst case scenario until my body was telling me to.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
No, it
and
definitely
people
does.
around me were like I work in healthcare, so the people around me were basically like, I could tell they thought I was crazy. I could tell they were annoyed of me, but I was like, something is wrong. Like, I'm not getting sleep. I don't feel good. I'm in pain every day. Like, things are waking you up at night in pain. Like, you're waking up in night sweats. Something's wrong. Like, your
Mhm.
body's telling you. So I just kind of was like, okay, like, I can't talk about myself anymore at work because I could tell people were just like, they loved me, but they were kind of like, you pray. And I was starting to feel that way
Yeah.
because I was like going to doctors and they're like, no, you're fine. But
Which is so
anyway,
so annoying. I'm like, I got mine is definitely not this long. Yours was very long, but I found out
yeah,
I was diabetic like 16 years ago or whatever. But the time that I was like starting to feel like something was wrong and like maybe I should go get things checked. I mean, I wasn't really necessarily talking to doctors, but just yeah, my loved ones, people around me, they're like, "No, like here's some sugar. Like actually you're fine. You're just thirsty a lot." Like, well, like just like kind of dismissing the symptoms. My husband is now a nurse and he like thinks back and he's like, I had no, because was just starting nursing school, so he had no idea the
yeah,
science. But it's like people, yeah, you just start being like, I swear I'm not crazy. Like I know something's wrong. And even when I went to the doctor, like they tried to dismiss me pretty quick. Like that's not what it is. And I'm like, I mean, they pretty quickly were able to tell, but just the small snippet that I had, I can only
yeah,
imagine like having that be months long
yeah, exactly.
frustration.
And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, I'm having deep, persistent neck pain, but nothing's wrong. So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I'm sorry that that happened to you because like feeling like you're gaslit by the medical system is like a real thing, right?
Mm.
Like I think we're all doing our best, and I think your husband would agree as a nurse. Like we all do the best we can do, and the patient says what they say it is, and like we're to believe them. But you know, we see all these people all the time, and
Yeah.
so
Like it happens often that there
yeah,
really is nothing going on. Like I understand the other side
yeah,
too, but oh my
yeah.
gosh, yeah. I
But
just
yeah,
feel for you though. Hmm.
yeah. So then, what was it? I'm trying to figure out where I am in the story. So I was like, oh, it's a mass on my tonsil. So then I went to urgent, or I had a friend that's a PA that I worked with, and she was like along for the ride with me. You could tell everyone else was annoyed, but like she had worked oncology and then she was working family medicine. And so she's like there for me constantly, which I
Hmm.
love and appreciate her to this day for that. She's like, you should go to urgent care because it was like a holiday weekend. So I go to urgent care. that PA was like new, and he was like, "You might have tonsil cancer." Like, totally scared me.
Oh my god.
He goes, "You need to go to an ENT." So I go to an ENT. That ENT was like, he told me everything looked fine. He didn't do any imaging. He didn't palpate my neck. He's like, "If you're still in pain, 4 weeks from now, I want you to come back and you can see either me," he was a PA, "or the MD that works here." And so 4 weeks go by. I'm on vacation. I'm still having neck pain. I call them. I'm like, "Hey, when I get back, I would like to see the MD. Like, I'm still in so much pain." And this was like, so that was all in July when I'm seeing these providers. I see the MD provider at the same clinic in August, and he's like, "I want you to go get a CT scan because I think that you have a bone growing into your tonsil, and I think we need to remove your tonsils, but if we do that, like, I want to make sure that I know what I'm operating on." So I'm like, "Okay, fine." So we go do the CT scan, and incidentally, there's a mass on my thyroid. My tonsils look fine. I have this benign mass on my tonsil,
Mhm.
but my thyroid, something was wrong. So then the hardest part is that I saw the result like within a few hours of me getting the test done, right? And weeks went by without follow up from that ENT. So in the meantime, I contacted my PCP, went and got an ultrasound, and also went and got an ultrasound with a biopsy because you have to get them like separately, right? You have to get an
Mhm.
ultrasound, the radiologist reads it and then says, like, you need to, this looks like a benign thyroid nodule, or this looks like something suspicious that we need to biopsy. So when I go and just get my regular ultrasound, the ultrasound tech looks at me and was like, "Well, better to be thyroid cancer than any other cancer, right?" And I look up at the image, and previously I'd worked radiology nursing. I am not a radiologist, and I don't really know how to read the images great, but I knew what like cancer probably looks like, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh my God, I have thyroid cancer." And I lost it, went home that day because I had worked that whole day, went and got the ultrasound like 6 p.m., came home and just like bawled my eyes out. Even though I didn't have a biopsy yet, I truly didn't have answers yet, but I just like knew.
Mhm.
And I went and I laid in bed with my 5-year-old Arthur and was just like looking up at the stars in his room and just like bawling my eyes out, like thinking of all the worst case scenarios. Like, it was horrible.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's what I knew. And then I finally got my biopsy. And like after that, honestly, then the other ENT contacted me and was like, "Hey, you need to go get an ultrasound. It looks like you have a thyroid nodule." And I was
Thank
like,
you.
"Dude,"
You're a little
I was
behind
like,
the
"Dude,
times.
yeah." I'm like, "I've
Yeah.
already been diagnosed with cancer." And at that point, my provider like referred me to a different ENT because
Was
couldn't.
Craig remind me like what that experience was like for Craig when you went home after you
Oh
had
my,
cuddled with Arthur in bed?
well, he was like, "You need to wait for the," I mean, he always has been like my rock, and like through this whole time, right, you have to remember I'm having like severe anxiety, and a lot of people were telling him at the appointments that I just had really bad postpartum anxiety,
Mhm.
like shrugging me off as that. And he wanted to believe me, but he also wanted to like support me mentally and emotionally. So he's like, "Babe, just wait for the results." Even though he knows, like, 9 times out of 10, he'll be like, "Shan, you diagnosed it." Like our kid with cerebral palsy, I diagnosed it before the neurologist and physical medicine, right? Because I'm with my kids all the time. So like
Mhm.
he knows that like I know like signs and symptoms of things and what things look like. So he like wanted to believe me, but he was like just trying to be like, "Babe, just wait for the
Also just
results."
in case. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he's always been supportive and like held me and hugged me and like let me cry on him. But he also was just trying to be like, "Let's wait. Let's like take it." He's very logical. Like, "Let's take it step by step,
Mhm.
day by day." And for me, it's like I just spiral. Like, I like think about the future and I'm like, "Oh, I
All
want to
these
be there
things you're
for my,"
not going to be a part of. Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of my diagnosis story. And then, so July, I finally saw people. August, got some answers. September was my biopsy. October was my surgery. and I got my entire thyroid removed. I had a 2.5 centimeter mass on my left side, a 0.3 centimeter microcarcinoma on my right side. They removed some tissue that they thought was the lymph nodes, and it wasn't. It was thyroid tissue, like in my neck bed, and that's usually a sign of metastases, but it all came back benign. So I'm kind of, there's like low risk, medium risk, high risk. Um, and I have always been like low to medium risk zone, um, because when you get your entire thyroid removed, they track something called TG, which is a thyroglobulin level. And thyroid tissue can make your thyroglobulin level be elevated, but also thyroid cancer can make your thyroglobulin be elevated. And so post-op, I've never had like a stable TG how it should be,
Mm-hmm.
even though that tissue tested negative for cancer. Um, so that level, that TG is supposed to be like almost zero post total thyroidectomy, and mine has never been that. It's hung out in like the 2.2, which puts me in the medium risk zone. And so I just get a lot more monitoring and imaging. Back in the day, they would have already had me do like radioisotope right away and like further treatment. But now, with the type of thyroid cancer I have, they're finding that they were maybe too aggressive with treatments.
Why
Um,
why do you think they would say that? That they're like, what is showing signs
yeah,
that it's too aggressive?
so papillary thyroid cancer is a very slow moving thyroid cancer typically. I mean, there's different subtypes and genotypes. It gets so complicated with cancer,
Mm-hmm.
but papillary thyroid specifically is generally slow moving. And so they think mine was there for like, it could have been there for as long as eight years, but it was just took that long to fill it and have symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think because of that, a lot of the time you'll hear from providers saying you'll die from something else before you'll die from thyroid cancer. Although they do want to get out of the body before it like metastasizes into your lymph nodes and your lungs and causes other issues.
Mm-hmm.
But like 98% of the time, people like still live a long, normal life. I would say the biggest thing, and I can say this for sure, that's affected is like your quality of life, because you have to take this thyroid med every single day. Like it's not your body like regulating it, your hormones now. It's a pill, and it fluctuates so much, and it doesn't feel how it used to feel when like I had my thyroid in my body. I don't know how to describe it other than that.
Mm-hmm. How often are you getting your blood checked to see if that needs to change?
Yeah, so for me, for the first year, it was every 6 to 8 weeks. And now, like, she spaced it out this last time that I'm going like 4 or 5 months now,
Mm-hmm.
which feels like a long time for me, especially because this last draw that I did in December, my levels weren't good. Like, I was
Mm-hmm.
hypothyroid, and when you have thyroid cancer, they want you hyperthyroid.
Like
So
making too much.
they want
Or
you to
not
take a
making it, but
yeah,
having more. Yeah.
exactly. They want you to take a higher dose of levothyroxine to suppress thyroid cancer from coming back, because it's so complicated. I wish I had like a whiteboard for you,
Give
because
me a PowerPoint.
levothyroxine in your body, if you don't have enough, your thyroid stimulating hormone, which is your TSH, that level goes up.
Mm-hmm.
If that level is up, what is it called? It's called your thyroid stimulating hormone. So if that level's up, it's like the opposite of what you think. If that level's
Yeah.
up, it's hypothyroid, right?
Yeah.
And it tells your body those cells need to start reproducing again. So like
Mm-hmm.
if you
So you
have
want.
microscopic cancer cells or things like that left in your body, then they start proliferating again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
so yeah, they want you hyperthyroid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine. I know I told you, like I take levothyroxine, and I think I only
Mhm.
get mine tested. That one, it could be 6 months, but sometimes I'm like, we may go like a year without testing it, but you can tell when it needs changed. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
what I wondered for you. You probably had it more often than me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was to the point that I was so hyperthyroid, which they want you, and some people feel fine at it, but I was at 0.37. Okay. And they want it at like 0.5 to 1.
Mhm.
But when I was at 0.37, I was like seeing stars. I would wake up in the middle of the night with my heart pounding, racing thoughts for no reason, like no reason to be anxious,
Mhm.
but just waking up like, why am I anxious? Why am I anxious? I'm up. My heart's pounding.
Yeah.
Um, my
Which that's
hair,
no
like,
fun.
no fun.
Yeah.
And so then they like decrease your dose and then you feel like crap because then you go high. Like, I have a really hard time, I think, absorbing my medication. I have to wait like honestly 2 to 4 hours to have a good absorption.
Mhm.
Like, so
You
where
just
some
wake up
people
in the
can
middle
wait.
of the night and take it so that you can eat when you wake up.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
last night, my 2-year-old woke up crying at 1 a.m. And so I was like, oh, gonna take my med,
Mhm.
you know? So,
What was that like? I mean, postpartum is hard for not like every mother. I feel like it's a journey, but do you feel like it ruined that postpartum experience for you, or were you still able to have like a good time with him as a newborn, like going through all the milestones, or can you not even like remember those?
honestly, I don't even remember them. And if I'm being honest, it was horrible.
Mhm.
Well, and also, like, both my boys were preemie and NICU babies. My second
Mhm.
one was born at, like around 32 weeks. And he has recently been diagnosed with cerebral palsy. And I knew that, like, something was wrong with him all along. So, but I was dealing with that and with my thyroid cancer. I was hyperthyroid. And so my anxiety was also really bad. And so
Mhm.
I had like postpartum anxiety. My child had been in the NICU for about a month and I had to go back to work. Like, no, I don't. I was so hyper fixated on not feeling well that no, I did not like enjoy it how I did. And I regret that. But like, honestly, I don't feel like I had control over
Well, I was to
my,
say there was like no fault for you because 0% your like anything you were doing.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
so sad like to think of that time, honestly. But I knew I would like hyperfixate on either my son, who I knew something was wrong with him
Mhm.
and he wasn't diagnosed at the time, or I would hyperfixate on myself and like that I didn't feel good. And so I felt bad actually for my husband and Arthur, my older one, because I was kind of like just, you know, fixated on these things at that time. And so, yeah, I mean, looking back, that was a really tough time. I cried a lot. Like, yeah, it was not good. So,
But tell us like how you're feeling now because I remember like how you felt
yeah.
like right after the surgery. Like I know the thyroid medication, that's been a journey. But other than
hmm
that, how was the difference in how you felt?
I mean, now I feel like honestly so much better in that just in so many different ways. Like how I live my life, like that you only have one life to live and you shouldn't take anything for granted. So I remember right away, like I had my surgery in October and I told my husband, I was like, I don't care how expensive the tickets are. We're going to Mexico for Thanksgiving. Like I want my feet in the sand. I want to breathe salty air. I want some vitamin D and like I want to spend time just with you guys and like soak it all in, And we have lived that way now, like ever since my thyroid cancer diagnosis, that like we're not going to wait till we're retired to like
Live
enjoy,
life.
live life and enjoy these moments. And so like it's changed my perspective in that way for sure. And I mean, I don't know. Like I think I told you last time, like more than anything, I'm just so grateful. I have a lot of gratitude just for being alive and for my body because you don't realize what you have until you lose it. Like after my surgery, lift up, I couldn't carry my boys, I couldn't pick them up. And like I was so grateful when I could that I could then hold them in my arms again. So
Yeah.
there's just a lot. There's a lot of emotions that come with it. There's a lot of growth that comes with it that, like, just like becoming a mom, right? And becoming parents and a dad or whatever. Like, any big life change or life circumstance, I think it grows you in ways you didn't know that like you needed to grow.
Hmm.
And so that I'm like very grateful for that.
I feel like that's like the cliche thing of like you learn and you grow and you become better through the hard things, but still doesn't make you want to go through those hard things. But it is nice to be able to see the like positive that can come out of a
Oh,
terrible
yeah.
situation. Hmm.
Yeah, 1000%. So yeah, and I know, Yeah. People are like, probably don't want to hear that, but like, that's just the truth. Like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, I wouldn't wish my journey upon anyone, but do I feel like it's made me a better person emotionally? Has it made me love myself more and my family in a different way, like a deeper way? Yeah, 1000%.
Mm-hmm. And I like the last time we had talked to you, I liked how you talked about like the support that you had, like in a lot of ways. In one way, the way people treat thyroid cancer and the way that they talk about thyroid cancer. Will you just like go over that again?
Yeah,
Because I think it's important to share.
yeah. I mean, I know it sucks for having to re-record because you kind of forget everything. It just comes out so authentically. But I would say that's a hard part with thyroid cancer is people, even doctors will say it's just thyroid cancer. It's not going to kill you, right? Um, which is just so not okay to say. So
Mhm.
many times I wanted to be like, "Oh, have you had thyroid cancer?"
Like,
It
is it
like I want to
it's
be a smart
just
aleck back. Yeah.
yeah.
But the truth is, like we've talked about, like it affects your quality of life. And I have to take a pill every day to survive now.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think there are some cancers that you go and you have this horrible like treatment program and everything, and the risk for recurrence is way higher than this type of cancer for sure. Like breast cancer, it's just awful for people. Um, and they might lose their breast, all those things, right? But like thyroid
Mhm.
cancer, this is one where like you have to take a pill to survive after. So every cancer is just so different. And I think that people just shouldn't minimize like people's experiences with it, because
Mhm.
everyone's journey is so different.
And then also
But
like talk about how you felt supported with like the people around you and who was there for you.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
tough. I was like hesitant to even like talk about it this time because I
Oh,
wanted you
you
to
don't have to if you
crop
don't want
out.
to.
So no, it's okay. I mean, you just find out who your true friends are, honestly, because sometimes like your health journey and everything can be too much for people, and I get that. That's fine. Um, but the people that really care and that are there for you will show up and like be your village. And I think that was the hardest part is because I was here and my sister's in Texas and my parents are in Pocatello, and I didn't really have like a good village here, to be honest. But the people that showed up, like those are the people that like I'll be there for through anything and everything. Like if something happens to them or a family member, if they're going through just anything, like I will drop what I'm doing for them because
Mhm.
they showed up for me at like my darkest time?
And what did that
So,
showing up look like for that? Was it just being a listening ear and allowing you to talk or being
yeah.
there for your kids? Like, were they bringing meals? Like, what was going on?
Yeah, I think that's the hard part. So people would send food from afar. That was a huge help because as I'm recovering post-op, I couldn't lift, I couldn't bend over, right? I couldn't take care of the house. So those sorts of things were really helpful, even though Craig could do those things, but now
Mhm.
he's taking care of the boys all on his own. He, excuse me, my husband works a lot of long hours and stressful hours. And so that took off of his plate too. And so I was super grateful for that. People sent me care packages. I remember my boss and the MP that I work with, they're both friends of mine as well. They like stole my car and went and cleaned my car for me.
Oh, that's so nice.
Um, yeah, like
Yeah.
just really nice things that people did for me that like meant so much more. I remember my next door neighbor coming over and cleaning my house. Like people that like I wasn't even close to, you know, um, would do things like that. And now I feel like if my neighbor needed anything, I would do anything for her.
Mhm.
Even though even after that, like we're still not close friends, but that's like I would do that for her, you
Mhm.
know? So I just think those are ways, and I know everyone says this and it's hard because I didn't want to ask for those things. And so I think when you know someone that's going through something, just offering to do those things is more helpful than being like, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Like texting someone being like, okay, I'm going to send a house cleaner over. What day is good for you? Or
Yeah.
I'm going to come clean your house. What day can I do that? I'm
And it's
going to
like
come do a
taking
load
the
of
like
laundry.
burden off of you. Even though there is no
Yeah.
burden off of you, it sometimes feels like, well, let me
Hmm.
tell you everything that I could need. Like, let me burden you instead. And then it's like, no, I don't want to do that. But if they're like, no,
Yeah.
this is what I'm giving you anyway. I think a little bit
Exactly.
easier to be like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, one of my good friends, she met a gal on an airplane, and I can't remember the name of the company, but she was like, "Yeah, anyone with cancer, we contract with this company to come and clean your house for free when you're going through like treatment and stuff." And my friend contacted me and was like, "Hey, you need to apply for this." And it was as quick as just writing in my diagnosis, putting my email in. They contacted me, someone came and cleaned my house for me.
Oh, wow, that's
And
really cool.
yeah, it was so helpful. If I remember, I can share the links with you because you could like link it in on
Mhm.
your podcast.
Yeah.
But that was really cool and thoughtful of my friend to like find that information out for me. Um, I don't know. Those are all just things that were helpful. And I know like sometimes people don't have the means to help, right? Like things are financially tight for people. Like I said, just coming and folding some laundry while I'm sitting there, or, anything.
Mhm.
Those things are all helpful. But
Yeah. I think it's important just for people like on the other end that aren't going through the thing to hear like what are the types of ways that I can support somebody, show that I
yeah.
care. Yeah.
Well, because like, I mean, I couldn't bend over. So like even doing simple tasks like laundry, I'd have to have it up on like a high table. So
Mhm.
yeah, those are all very like thoughtful things that, yeah, I was embarrassed that my house was falling apart, but it was just going to
Your kids
continue to
weren't
get
going to be the ones
worse.
deep cleaning it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I don't know. So, yeah,
Well, I
that was
appreciate you
kind of
again
it.
going through this conversation
Yeah.
with me. I thought it was still,
Oh my gosh.
I was like, okay. Yeah. Cause I was like, we could ask the same questions, but I figured
Yeah.
it's still going to be a good conversation. I don't regret the first one because I thought that it was also a really good conversation. So I'm like, I'll go over it. Like, I'll do it again.
Thanks. I'm
And
sorry. I
yeah,
feel
I realized when I was editing this, we didn't actually like say goodbye to the podcast because as we were talking, we just ended up like keep talking and we never really said goodbye. So that's why you just kind of heard our conversation just a little bit, fade out there at the end. I really enjoyed talking to Shantyl. She was so great. I decided to look up what were some signs of thyroid cancer because she was telling us, she was doing a lot of throat clearing and, things like that. And so I just wanted to see what else might be some signs of thyroid cancer. So I went to good old ChatGPT and asked him. So it said a lump in the neck, swelling in the neck, which she did say that she had, hoarseness or voice changes, trouble swallowing, trouble breathing, persistent cough not related to a cold, swollen lymph nodes in the neck, and neck pain. So I was expecting to see like throat clearing on here since that was such a like big symptom of hers. But I feel like it really did kind of go in with like a persistent cough or like hoarseness or voice changes. Like I guess that kind of like ties in there. There are some symptoms. My husband, after talking to Chantel, I was having a little bit of pain like around where my thyroid was, is what I assumed. And so of course I went to him and I said, okay, babe, like, do I have thyroid cancer? He's my nurse husband. So he needs to tell me and comfort my, fears. And he said, yep, that's what it's got to be because what else could it be? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have any other explanation for this. So, I mean, I will say I'm feeling it right now. It's no longer painful, but I am aware now of the things to look for. Um, if that is the case, I was happy to find out that thyroid cancer has a very high survival rate. So that is good to know, and I'm really grateful that Chantel is on the other side of it. That she found out that she had it and finally was able to get answers. In my conversation with Carrie, we had talked about, which I ended up taking out of the episode because we hadn't yet released this one with Chantel, but I had told her that I was going to have this episode out. And similar, they both were just like really having to advocate for themselves and being dismissed a lot and, made to think that they didn't know their own bodies and didn't know like what they were experiencing, making them think that it was normal or something else. And I know that that happens a lot. And I know that there are times that a lot of times I would know because like I said, my husband is a nurse. So I'm aware. I mean, obviously, I'm like, tell me, do I have thyroid cancer? Like, we don't always know, but it does stink that they were having to fight so hard for themselves and like getting dismissed and making them like second guess what they were going through. And just like that, it took a while for them to finally like get their answers. It just is really unfortunate and just makes me sad that they both like went through something similar in that. Just an important conversation to have. So I hope you've learned something from the last two episodes dealing with cancer, maybe signs to look for. I will say next week is not a cancer awareness episode, although I did partially consider making it just like a whole month of it because, like I said, unfortunately, I know a lot of people could tell a story similar to these ones. But I will be here next week for another episode of the Sippin' on Stories podcast. Thank you all for listening, for being here. I love you and I appreciate you. Talk to you next week. Bye, Sipsters.